The member for Manus, Ronnie Knight, a critic of the Manus detention center deal, came into the studio for an interview yesterday. As that was in progress, 2 Iraqi refugees have been arrested and charged for being drunk and damage to property at the Kingfisher Lodge in Manus, in Lorengau. Mr. Knight predicts more of such from a false conclusion in the minds of refugees that they are now free on the island after the Supreme Court declaration that the detention center was unconstitutional. Thank you, Mr. Knight, for coming on to PNG tonight.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
Okay, let's talk about the Supreme Court decision on the detention center, and let's talk about Manus. It's a couple of days, a week. Since that decision, what is it on the ground?
On the ground, they've basically taken the advice of the Supreme Court, and the gates are open, let's put it that way.
Okay.
There is no more...
the gates are open?
The main gates are open. They are free to go and come as they please, internally and outside. They obviously may try their best to be back in the center by nightfall, and that's about it. Besides that, there's nothing much has changed except for the freedom that they have.
Okay. So are they back in the detention centers on time? And
No, they're not. Some of them are staying overnight in Lorengau. Some of them are going out to villages. I mean, you have almost 900 people now that have been locked up for nearly 3 years, and they're just exploring the place. And that's basically what's happening.
Suddenly the lid is off there.
Exactly.
Okay. So the decision, has it helped you as member there per your province?
Well, originally we were never involved in discussions of how this thing was going to be handled. Right. And I always had in the back of my mind the fear of something like this happening, and we always knew that it was not going to last. You know, in 2001 we had the experience where overnight they closed down the camp, the original one. Yes, where yes. You alluded to the last asylum seeker left on Manus.
Yeah, the single one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the main thing that I have been trying to stress to my people was, all right, you know, we can't really knock it back. A lot of Manus elite, a lot of Manus intellectuals, they all have been hammering at us on social media saying it's a stupid thing, we shouldn't do this, it's people's rights, blah, blah, blah. Well, when life gives you lemons, you only have to make lemonade. That's the only hope you can do. Okay. So when we were given this thing, we had to negotiate for what we could get. For the first year or so, Manus got relatively nothing out of it, until I started to hammer them and started talking about the rights of our people. Now we have almost around about 800 people employed out at the base, young Manusians who are dependent on jobs, even though they're menial jobs, but you know, nothing in higher position, but security guards, cleaners, drivers.
Sure.
Things
but
like
you
that.
don't have those jobs right now, have you? They're all gone.
At the moment, still in a transitional period. I mean, they still need them. The security guards are there, the drivers are there. But that's the fear. The fear is that when this thing closes down, all those jobs are gone.
Okay. Well, Mr. Knight, you say that the original decision, you were not a part of that. The people of Manus were not a part of that. Whatever happens here on, if there were to be any renegotiation, what would be your position? What would be that of the Manus people?
Well, I've made my stance clear. There's only two ways about this. You know, the Supreme Court is very clear on what Section 42 of the Constitution states, and I think that is paramount in our psyche. You know, freedom is guaranteed to us, and when people come and visit us, they are also guaranteed those freedoms. If we detain them, as the Supreme Court showed clearly, we are wrong. So the only way that this thing can actually work, or if there's going to be a variation of the deal, is that if the asylum seekers are willing to stay in Manus for a certain amount of periods while they're being processed. Now, I suggest strongly that we have to, I demand, I'm not suggesting, I'm demanding that we have to be involved in any negotiation if there's going to be any variation of the deal or the regional processing center. The main problem that we are having right now is that Australia is obviously saying to Papua New Guinea, you guys adopted the problem, you signed the MOA, you agreed to resettle these people, so it's not our problem, it's Papua New Guinea's problem.
We'll give you the money if you want.
Exactly. So my idea is to offer an alternative here. But the alternative is not that we're not going to lay down. You know, we're going to stand on our own feet, and we're going to demand our rights like any big job in Australia or any big development in Australia, in an Aboriginal community or in an area in Australia. All rights of refusal for all contracts are given to the landowners.
Sure.
You know, if Papua New Guinea or in Manus, for example, has to build a road and we don't have the capacity, or we'll find a road building company in Port Moresby or Lae that can be partners with us, and we will do it that way. We don't want anybody else coming in again. So that has to be made up front. Secondly, if anything happens, we are demanding the repatriation of those criminals. We have 2 expatriates wanted for the murder of Reza Barati that were never tried, and they escaped. We have 3 that were accused of rape.
When they escaped out of the country.
Out of the country.
That's right. Yeah.
They were flown out before the courts, so the police could act on them. We have the 3 rapists as well, and those people, you know, it's a slap in the face of our people, especially the victims. How do you feel when your own country is not backing you on this?
Yes, yes.
And we demand that those people be repatriated and face justice.
And not only that, but those who are breaking the law on the island right now
Exactly.
be prosecuted as well. Or are they being prosecuted?
Well, no, they're not. There was an attempt. There was one when an asylum seeker actually assaulted a policeman, and he was charged. But the court, I think, was very lenient with him, and they said, oh, because he's got psychological problems, so they released him back to the immigration people, you know.
Okay. So does the Supreme Court then give those people who are on the island now virtually the free run to break laws and not be prosecuted because there's no convention that binds them into that?
Exactly. That is why I'm stating here now that they must understand that your freedoms do not infringe on our freedoms. We have the same freedoms.
Okay.
Under Section 42, you are guaranteed those freedoms. So do my people. So we expect them to abide by our laws. If they break the laws, I expect the police to arrest them, and I expect them to go through the courts, and hopefully, if they are found to be guilty of such things, maybe they should be deported. Okay. And that is one of the ways that we can try and sort some of this out.
Okay.